Hey everyone, welcome back to Bamboo Batu, another weekly episode of Bamboo Information. Hope you enjoy these videos. If you do, if you're really into bamboo, definitely check out my website, bamboobatu.com. That's BAMBUBATU.com. There's links down below in the notes to the website and related articles. Check it out and subscribe to the channel if you want. Tell your friends, tell your neighbors, spread the good word. Today we're going to talk about the bamboo supply chain, China and beyond. So I was originally going to call this bamboo supply chain beyond China, but had kind of an anti-Chinese sound to it when I said beyond China. So I just said China and beyond because we're talking about where bamboo comes from, and a lot of it comes from China. The vast majority of commercial bamboo products do come from China, but there is increasing pressure and increasing interest and increasing demand for bamboo in other parts of the world. And that's where the bamboo supply chain is really interesting. And that's a big part of what I want to talk about here today. First, we'll just mention the reasons why we're growing bamboo. If you're a viewer of this channel or a reader of my website or a bamboo fan in general, then you probably already know all these things. But yes, we like to proclaim that bamboo can save the planet. Single-handedly, no, but as part of a wider solution that incorporates many different sustainability concepts, bamboo definitely plays a key role. It is super sustainable and renewable. Once bamboo is established, it just grows like crazy. It can be harvested perpetually, which means you're saving trees, you're protecting forests. The bamboo produces great amounts of oxygen and captures great amounts of CO2, more so than ordinary trees and forests, because of bamboo's very high metabolism and faster growth rate. Being a grass instead of a tree has some really interesting properties. It's great for regenerating land. It grows well on degraded soil. It's good in places where other crops don't grow so well, and prevents erosion in those areas, and restores the soil. So many benefits. You can read all about those different topics on my website and elsewhere. But let's get into it. Bamboo distribution. So we think of bamboo as an Asian plant. You see it in front of Chinese restaurants. You go out for Thai food, there's always like some bamboo bushes out in front of the restaurant. Definitely there is a great variety of bamboo native to that part of the world. But as you can see on the map, there is bamboo all over the world. Mostly it's kind of concentrated around the equator, the equatorial belt, the tropic and subtropical areas. Bamboo does grow very well there. And then there are the temperate bamboos, which is actually what you get more of in China. And those grow also in the United States, in the Southeast. You see that little pocket there of, there's actually about 3 different species of bamboo native to the US. Used to be pretty widespread all over that area. But as European settlers came, they kind of wiped it out and made room to grow cotton and tobacco and things like that. But now there's an increasing interest in growing bamboo in the Southeast, which is pretty exciting. Not so much the native species that had been there before, but other more useful, more commercially practical bamboo species. So you can see, yeah, South America, tons of bamboo down there, all over from Brazil to up to Colombia, down to almost down to Tierra del Fuego, there, the little tip, all down the way through Chile. There's lots of bamboo growing there, lots of different species, real interesting diversity of bamboo. There's solid bamboos, there's shrubby little soft, tender, herbaceous bamboos, gigantic timber bamboos like guadua up in Colombia and Ecuador. The guadua bamboos is prized. They consider it the best bamboo species in the world. In Indonesia or Southeast Asia, they would argue about that claim. They would probably say that Dendrocalamus asper is the greatest species. Anyway, it's an ongoing debate throughout the bamboo world. It's a fun debate. There's pros and cons to different species. But anyway, those are two of the most important species. In China, you get a lot of Mosso bamboo is what they grow there. And so they're going to say that's the best bamboo. If you're growing bamboo in China, then yes, Mosso is the best. But it depends where you are, what you're making, a lot of different factors. Anyway, we're not going to argue about that right now. Africa also, as you can see, lots of bamboo in Africa. Most people don't realize that. I think when they say 1/6 of the bamboo resources of the world are in Africa, I think there's about 1.3 million hectares in Ethiopia alone of bamboo. And so it's definitely a resource that they could be tapping into, and something I've been promoting quite a bit in sub-Saharan Africa, from Ghana to Nigeria to Kenya, Uganda, all the way down to Zimbabwe and Malawi. Um, Lots of bamboo in Madagascar, also in the little island down there. Some real exotic bamboos that don't grow anywhere else. Such an amazing place for biodiversity, Madagascar. I'd love to get down there someday. And last but not least, there's a little bit of bamboo there in Australia, also the northern tips of Australia, where it's that kind of tropical, subtropical zone. There's, I think, 3 different species of bamboo native to that part of the world. So the only continent where there is no native bamboo is Europe, which is pretty interesting. Although there are efforts to grow bamboo commercially in Europe now, and that's going to be interesting. A whole new set of challenges around that, but lots of great reasons to grow bamboo, just like there are in the rest of the world. And finally, of course, there's no bamboo in Antarctica, so we're not even going to mention that. Forget that I even brought it up. As I said, yeah, Mosso Mosso is considered by many to be the most important bamboo species in the world. Definitely in China, it is the most important. And because most of the bamboo comes from China, you could say that it is the most important. But it is a temperate bamboo species. It grows well in the not so tropical areas. It does not grow that well in many other areas. People who've tried to grow it in the US have had real challenges. In Europe, people are growing Mosso in Portugal, and a bit in France as well, and other parts of Southern Europe. I think Italy, there's lots of Mosso. So it's pretty interesting to see how Mosso is spreading. But yeah, it's a Chinese species. It's a running bamboo, temperate bamboo, and it's huge, and it is very well maintained in China, and it is super versatile for food. It's an edible species, for building material, most importantly. All kinds of plates and utensils and things like that, kitchenwares, cutting boards, flooring, bamboo textiles, just about all the bamboo textiles that we see, bamboo towels, bamboo socks, bamboo underwear, all that cool, super soft bamboo fabric. That's all almost entirely Mosso bamboo, because China is where the bamboo processing happens. Bamboo from China. So the benefits of Chinese bamboo, or sourcing bamboo from China, it's just super abundant there. They've had bamboo growing in China for as long as anyone can remember. People have been working with it for a long time. They're very familiar with it. They understand how to harvest it, harvesting it in a way where they can go and collect a lot of bamboo and come back the following year and continue to collect a lot of bamboo without over harvesting, without depleting the bamboo forest. And so they are continuing to expand their bamboo plantations and forests there, because the demand has gotten so great, and they've learned to do so many things with bamboo that they are expanding. I don't know the exact acreage of bamboo in China off the tip of my tongue, but it has the greatest quantity of bamboo of any country. I think India comes in a distant second place. And so the bamboo processing industry is very well developed in China. They've got the machines, they've got the technological know-how, they've got the botanical know-how. They really have it figured out. They've got it dialed in, And so the Chinese bamboo dominates the global market because they've got it and they know what to do with it. Some of the disadvantages, if you're in the United States, for example, and you want some bamboo products, you're talking about shipping it halfway around the world, or shipping it to Europe. It's going halfway around the world, more or less. And that is pretty expensive, especially given today's shipping rates, which have just been going up and up. And we don't know what's going to happen in the future. So it makes the prices pretty volatile when you calculate in the shipping prices. But also just the carbon footprint, the fact that you're buying bamboo products because they're better for the earth and you want to combat global warming, and then you throw all this stuff on a boat and ship it around the world, and that kind of counteracts the environmental benefits that you're getting from using a sustainable resource. So things to be aware of. And then finally, the political issues, political problems. There's some concern about what China's doing with human rights and privacy and Taiwan, lots of different things. So there is pressure to find other places for Westerners to spend their money. And so now bamboo is going global. There's lots of bamboo coming from China, like I said, and there is just the political factors alone make it real interesting. I don't want to be too doom and gloom here. If there's children listening, you may want to cover their ears. But there are people talking about just as Russia has invaded Ukraine, and they've been condemned by the global community, but it hasn't really stopped them. And so now there's massive international sanctions and boycotts of against Russia. There's some serious concern that could also happen in China. China invading Taiwan and being criticized by the world, but not being prevented from doing so, which could in turn lead to severe sanctions, economic sanctions against China, including widespread boycotts or raised tariffs against Chinese products, which would make it, which would give us a great incentive to be buying bamboo products from places other than China. So, so there is, real interest and incentive to get bamboo from other parts of the world. And as we saw on that map, there are plenty of other parts of the world where bamboo grows. So that shouldn't be a problem. Oh, you can uncover the children's ears now, by the way. So that shouldn't be a problem. The main problem is that in the developing world, there is all that bamboo, but without industry. And without industry, it's tough to make a lot of products. I know I've shared this picture before because it's such a great picture, but it really shows it's just, dealing with bamboo poles, they're just so giant and cumbersome and unwieldy. It just doesn't make much sense for, all these guys to be carrying these bamboo poles around. But the factories and processing facilities are very limited in most of these tropical areas. And so they have the raw bamboo, but they don't have a great way to process it, which means they don't have great access to markets where they can sell it. So it's a big challenge. And in those parts of the world, we're talking about Dendrocalamus asper. Usually that seems to be the most popular species to be growing commercially, although there are several other popular species. And I always encourage farmers to mix a variety of species and not rely entirely on one. The old putting all your eggs in one basket conundrum. So, but asper is one of the best species. It's right up there with Mosso in China and Guadua in South America. Super strong, super straight poles, but they do require a pretty tropical, warm and wet climate. But yeah, great bamboo species. So competing globally for these other parts of the world. A few tips out there. Don't just try to sell bamboo poles like those guys in that picture earlier. You have a lot of bamboo, you harvest your bamboo. You can't just come to the market with a bunch of bamboo poles and say, hey, who needs poles? Because there is some amazing bamboo architecture happening with poles. The pole-to-pole construction methods and techniques have really advanced. It's really beautiful, but it's a super niche thing. and most people just do not have the skills to build that way. And shipping bamboo poles, these big hollow tubes, is just not practical. It's expensive, and you're shipping a lot of air in a container when it's just these big hollow tubes. Another thing, don't compete with China. Don't go head to head with China on bamboo and expect to come out on top, because bamboo in China is just, they just know so much about bamboo and they know how to work with it. And if they come up with a cool product, there's going to be 6 factories with 100,000 people in each factory cranking out a zillion units of some bamboo product. And some project in Ghana or Ecuador or some other bamboo growing area is just going to have a hard time competing against that. So you need to develop unique products, different things that China's not already mass producing, and focus on products that you can sell locally, things that you're not shipping halfway around the world. I know everybody wants to sell their bamboo products to Europe and the United States because that's where the buyers are and the shoppers and the big pockets. But if you can find products that you can sell locally, the developing world needs building material. And as the population grows, the demand for building material is going to grow and grow. So the focus on that, make building material, figure out new building techniques where you can use that bamboo, supply local markets, address the local housing demands, building demands, and commercialize bamboo that way. And finally, turn that waste material into biochar. I'm super excited about biochar. And when you're making building material with bamboo, you end up with lots of little pieces that don't really fit well in the bamboo construction material. Close to half of the material, the tops of the bamboo where it gets all skinny and flimsy, doesn't make great building material. The little side branches and things do not make good building material. So again, I'm super excited about bamboo charcoal. It's a little bit crazy thing to be excited about. I'm trying to make bamboo sexy, trying to make bamboo charcoal sexy. That is, if anybody's got any tips on how we can make charcoal sexy, feel free to contact me. It's a campaign we can work on, a little pet project. But yeah, by making charcoal, you're using the entire plant. You don't have all that waste material, whether it's sawdust or the small branches and bits of bamboo. You can really use all of it. There's so much deforestation, especially in Africa, where they use charcoal very widely for heating and cooking. And so instead of cutting down old tropical trees, if we could be meeting that demand for charcoal by growing super renewable bamboo, that would be a real lifesaver for the forests, which have already been so depleted throughout the Congo and all over sub-Saharan Africa. And even more interesting than charcoal is the biochar, where the bamboo, where the charcoal is ground into a powder and used as a fertilizer, as a soil additive. And it is amazing for soil regeneration. It's great for phytoremediation, removing toxins from the soil. It's great for helping the soil to retain moisture, for attracting beneficial microorganisms and such into the soil. When you mix that biochar with compost, the compost is processed much more quickly, and it just does wonders for the soil, increasing crop yields and just bolstering up the topsoil. And finally, you're literally burying carbon in the ground, taking carbon, which is one of the CO2, that is one of the main contributors to climate change. Bamboo absorbs that out of the atmosphere, and then if you turn that bamboo into biochar and bury it in the ground, you're literally burying that CO2 in the ground, which is great for the atmosphere. It's great for the soil. And finally, you can even earn carbon credits. If you're familiar with the carbon credit market, I've got a video on that, articles on the website about it. But earning carbon credits for biochar is a great way to get a little extra income on the bamboo project. So definitely something worth checking out. If you want to know more about that, let me know. Contact me through the website, or read about it on my website, or watch the other videos about it. Anyway, that's the bamboo supply chain in a nutshell. It's a pretty vast and complex topic. I'm sure I overlooked many important points. So if you've got questions, let me know in the comments. Like I said, check out my website for more details. Lots of in-depth articles on there, hundreds of in-depth articles, in fact. And yeah, let me know in the comments if there's other topics you want to hear about. And don't forget to subscribe, tell your friends, all that good stuff. And we'll see you next week. Thanks a lot.